Hey guys, good morning. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Hey, let me say something that's really very personal for me, and it's something a lot of you guys might know. I'm a grandson. I'm the grandson of an educator. My grandmother was very important in my life. Both my grandmothers were. Who I am today is based on how my grandmothers influenced my life at a younger age. But it's that junction of my life that makes a real difference in who I am today. No matter what I do today, there are three women, four, including my mother, that influence my aspect of who I am today. My grandmother, who was an educator, emphasized the growth of a person based on their ability to learn and grow and adapt to the challenges of life. That's part of who we are as people. Being a conservative and having the idea to point out the difference of aspects was built on the premise of critical thinking, something my grandmother was poignant about throughout my life. That aspect has been part of who I am. A mentor of mine said something that really reflects that idea of education and reading and challenging your mind and your will. He said that every point of your life has to be based on growth. If you decide to be stagnant, you decide to be complacent, you don't become the person you truly could be. That's the aspiration that people should go after to drive themselves to get better. What really shocked me years ago, again, not shocking now, but sad, that the educational system where the adults and kids have a level of reading at the fifth to sixth or even seventh grade level. I've been writing and reading for majority of my life. I'm a prolific reader. I read nearly how many books a week? And that's including the books of school and my research and things like that. My style of writing is reminiscent of what my grandmother expected me to be at that aspect of my life. Now I'm in the 50s, so my reading level, my writing style should be at the level where I have grown, and I have, to the point that a lot of my contemporary friends and colleagues have said, "Hey, you need to make your writing reflect a lower standard." That's one of my friends said, and that shocked me. I said, "I can't do that because the way I write is the way my mind works. I'm one of those individuals whose mind goes 100 million miles per hour nonstop, even when I'm sleeping." But what is reflective of this post is that we have become so complacent about reading, about writing. Here's an example: development of our trades in our country has become a proficient questioning point for a lot of people, because we have to question, how can our ideology and our reading capacity endure if we are not able to compensate and even adapt to the changes where people I know from other nations are able to outread and even outthink many other students in this country. That is a that is an aspect that many people don't seem to realize. In a recent in a recent research that I did, and I had to do this because I wanted to see if the information was true or not, and it was. The adaptability of adults to conceptually understand the, the distinctive variables of what is required to grow and learn and do certain aspect has become so rudimentary that it's becoming a question of how are we able to have a community unable to conceive critical independence because they lack the ideal critical thinking. Critical thinking was part of our lives in the 50s, 60s, 70s, and part of the 80s. Critical thinking is required in many of the jobs today. That includes engineering, it includes even carpentry. I have a friend who is a carpenter, and he even said critical thinking is a validity in their job because if you can't think outside the box, you can't think independently, a lot of things that people think is only planning doesn't really work. There's going to be issues that are going to come up. That's why knowing and reading and understanding concepts and whatever, you know, whatever is needed for that position is a requirement. When people are not able to think outside the box and think independently with idea to how to adapt to the changes by doing research and checking out the possibilities, that's a challenge that's it's going to happen, and it's happening now. One of the things that I always encourage people to do is the basic thing that I was taught and you guys were taught: the questions everything. The idea of how, who, when, where, why, or and what, and everything else. Questioning is very valuable, and it's part of the variables that makes our world work. What happened to critical thinking? What happened to the idea that we need to read books, different ideas, different junctions? It's not about politics. It's not about decisive reasoning. It's about personal growth and independent character. What made me talk about this in this post and why this post is important to me? What my grandmothers pushed and encouraged me. They encouraged me to learn by reading different aspects, different books. I've read over thousands and thousands of books. I've studied over 30 years of theology, philosophy, behavioral science, history, management, all of these things. And I've taken everything I've learned and encompass it in my day to day life. I'm still going to school, not because I have to, because I want to. I'm learning new trades, not because I need to, but I have to, because I have to adapt and grow. I can't help anyone else if I can't help myself. The point of this post is that we need to grow, and to grow means to question and answer the, the dilemma of our world. We need to work together. There is no one right answer, there's no one wrong answer. There's only an answer. We have to work together as a community. There is no difference or similarities. There's only the willing to work together or not. There's no conservative, there's no liberals, there's only people. Opening a book and reading a book is paramount. To have independent skills, especially critical thinking, is paramount. Being a conservative and believing in those values makes me who I am. That is why both my grandmothers, my mother, and my first American teacher, Mrs. Dean, has been one of the most influential group of women in my life. This post is about growth. It's about independent thought, independent understanding. But most of all, it's about working together and creating a philosophy that's based on growth, based on reading, based on different views and different ideas, because that makes our world better. No matter what you believe, the reading quality in this country needs to go above the seventh grade level. There is no variable that's important as growth. The growth in your faith, growth in yourself, growth in your reading, growth in your dreams. The growth we aspire and inspire is the most prominent point that we can offer to our children and our community. If you think I'm wrong or you think there's a changing aspect that I missed, talk to me. Hit me up. But in the end, do your best, because the best can come from working together and working with the soul and heart that you have. Learn, grow, develop, and be the person you should be and could be. So for now, take care, stay safe, and of course, remember, whatever you do, keep smiling, keep charging, and do the best you can. Stay safe, folks.